Hi, my name is Kim Akia. I'm 5'6". I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia. This is my cousin, Arthur J. Moore. He currently lives in California. He is my second cousin on my mother's side. My grandmother, my mother's mother, she is the youngest of 14 children. And so his father and my grandmother are brother and sister. So his father is actually the older, one of the older brothers of my grandmother. Yes. So he is my mother's first cousin. He's my second cousin. And he is an active member on Ancestry. He's been on Ancestry for quite a few years as well. I actually met him through Ancestry. Here's the kick. I've never met him in person. I've met his sister in person. She lives in New Jersey. That's where I'm from. I believe that's where he's from as well. And but I never met him in person. He actually found me. He actually connected with me through Ancestry.com a few years back. He reached out and said, you know, I'm Arthur Moore's son. I'm looking for some information about my father, so any pictures of my father. So I immediately reached out to my mother and my grandmother and said, Arthur's son reached out to me on Ancestry.com. And he's looking for some pictures of his dad. Do you have any pictures of his dad? My grandmother's like, no, unfortunately, I don't have any pictures of Arthur. You know, my mother's like, I don't either. Ask this person. So I asked another family member, you know, can you give him some pictures? Do you have a picture of his dad? And so I believe that that family member was able to get a picture of his father, Overton. So now he has a picture of his dad. So I am actually really excited to hear his full ancestry story because you know, he found me and I helped to connect him with our other family because I think that there was some sort of disconnect. I still haven't even asked my mother the full story because his sister, I met his sister many, many years ago. We had a family vacation and her husband came, but I was not aware of him. At that point, I was like 10 years younger. So I wasn't really I was just starting on my ancestry journey, but I was not aware because again, my grandmother is one of 14 kids. So I'm not aware of her older siblings, just the ones that are more close to her age that I knew growing up. But there's so many people that I'm still not aware of. So I was not aware of him. But yeah, he connected with me on Ancestry. That's how we met. That's how we built our relationship. So we connected. We started to talk a lot, share information. I gave him the information that I knew. I reached back out to our family here in New Jersey so that he could have the information. And so now we're all connected. So he talks to all of the family now. He's connected on Facebook to all the family, and he's still continuing his journey too. So my ancestry journey began in 2011. That was a long time ago. And I started an ancestry.com account because I wanted to just research my family tree, build upon it, learn about my family history because there were a lot of holes, there were a lot of things that I did not know. So I joined in 2011, started to build my tree. And I believe it's been so long. I believe I took the DNA test a few years after I joined, if I'm not mistaken, or if I took my DNA test a couple of years before I joined. I can't remember because it was so long ago. But in any event, I joined, started to build my tree. I had my DNA test. And when you get the DNA test, you can automatically, like it will, it creates an account for you where you can go on and see like distant relatives and cousins and things of that nature. And I believe from that is when I decided to, oh, now I can build my tree and from this DNA test, I believe. I'm not really sure. But in any event, it started in 2011-ish, 9-ish. But what sparked my curiosity was growing up my whole life, you know, people would ask me, where are you from? I would tell them my parents are from New Jersey. You know, you don't look like you're fully black. You look like you're mixed. You look like you might have Spanish in you. You look like you're from the Caribbean island. What island are you from? Where, what Asian, you know, what's your Asian ancestry? You look like you have Native American in you. I mean, all these things I've heard literally from being a little girl all the way up to even through college. people would always tell me these things. I mean, all types of random people would always, you know, say these statements to me. And, you know, my father, he does not look like he's 100% African American, as African American, or what an African American should look like. He does look like he's mixed. My mother, she looks like she may be mixed as well. And so also my entire life growing up, my grandmother, my mother's mom, she would always say that her mother was Indian. Her grandmother was Indian, but she didn't really know, you know, I don't think she really knew. She just knew the word Indian, like, you know, it was Indian. But as I got older and I started to research and become aware of ancestry and, you know, your lineages and all that, and doing my own research and getting more into it, genealogy, uh, there is Native American and then there is India from India. So, you know, I didn't know which one she meant. So with that, all of that, and I love history. History is my favorite subject. It has always been my favorite subject in school. I've always excelled in history. I love research. I've always loved learning about ancient civilizations like Pompeii and Atlantis, and, you know, ruins that, you know, need to be excavated, and like all those things really, really fascinated me. Just how people lived in the past and learning about their culture and traditions, and it's just something that it's just fun to learn from me. So of course, when it came to my family, I'm like, oh, I want to know what's happening here. Where do I come from? Who do I come from? What type of people? What did they do? You know, what was their personality like? What type of jobs did they have? What countries did they come from? What cultures or traditions or, you know, ethnicities were they? So all of these things really started to just pile up the older I got, because I wanted to know where I came from. What is my true identity? I just started to feel kind of like disconnected with the African American, you know, a label that was given, because I don't know if I'm African American. I don't know if I'm fully African American. I might be mixed with so many other things. I might be Afro Indigenous, you know, Afro Asian, whatever. And so I just wanted to connect to identify who I was and where my people came from, because I think it's just really important for me to know, you know, just to have that self identity and self awareness of who you are and where you're going in life. So I think that ancestry makes a wonderful, wonderful gift, because just learning about your past, learning about your family, learning about your entire lineage, what countries you come from, what cultures, what food, what music, what traditions. I mean, it literally unlocks a part of who you are. And that's something that is priceless. I feel like it's really, really priceless. And I think everybody should have an ancestry account. I think everybody should, you know, either build their tree and research their tree, and or take the DNA test. But if you take one or the other or both, you are going to unlock so much and learn so much about yourself, about yourself. Okay, so the biggest discovery that I had doing my ancestry research was once I got my test results back. Like I said, my mind was blown, because there were some ethnicities listed on there that my mother, my father, nobody that I knew in my family knew we had this running through our blood. So the biggest surprise to me was that I had Indian in me. Like, I believe it's like 3 or 4 or 5%, 3 to 5% Indian. That was mind blowing. Also, Asia, Southeast Asia specifically, there was a small percentage of that too. Mind blowing. Had no idea. And then there was when it came down to Africa, the larger chunk of Africa was for the southeastern Bantu Africa. So when I saw these, I was like, my jaw was dropped, because never in a million years did I think I would have Indian ancestry, like from India. Now, a lot of people might say, why is that so surprising to you? Growing up as a black girl, a regular black girl, with a regular black family, both of my grandparents on both sides, maternal and paternal, are from the South. Nobody has even, you know, again, I in my earlier clip, I said that my grandmother said that her mother was half Indian and her grandmother was Indian. So I'm like, oh, this whole time, our family, we thought that she meant Native American, but it looks like she was actually from India. So then the wheels start turning. How did she get to South Carolina? A woman from India, how did she get there? The migration. So I started to research. Once you join the ancestry community, you meet other people, the forums, then there's Facebook groups. It just starts exploding, like your research, and then you join groups. And then at the time, I believe I was really heavy into my research. I want to say around 2016, 17ish, like very heavy into my research. I had joined some groups. I'm still connected to some groups. I had also been reading a lot of articles, continuously building my tree, asking questions within my family. I was taking all of their results and my ancestry results and just like comparing and seeing what dots were connecting, and it was phenomenal. It was so amazing. I learned so much, and then you learn about the migration patterns. You learn about the different peoples. I mean, it's just been a phenomenal, eye-opening journey. And another major discovery was learning that my mother's lineage, I'm pretty sure it's my mother's lineage because all my research is pointing in that direction so far, traces back to the island of Madagascar off the southeast coast of Africa. So that was like, what? I have Malagasy ancestry? So then I started to research the Malagasy people. And let me tell you something, researching them, they look just like my family. And I would pass this information along to my family, my mother's side, as I was learning more about, the history and the ancestry and things that I was learning per my research. And everybody was just so blown away. Thank you so much for sharing. This is amazing. And I really connected with the Malagasy people because they do look a lot like all of my family members on my mother's side. So I'm really, happy that I was able to make that connection. And I was able to reach out to a few distant cousins from Madagascar, and they were able to give me some information about our family history too, which was amazing. I learned that some of our family came from South India. They came to work on the sugar plantations in South Africa and Madagascar. The family split up. I spoke to a cousin who is a part of the South African family. And so he was telling us we have a lot of Indian family members. He still talks to a lot of people. And then I met another woman who was my distant cousin from Madagascar. Her husband was giving me a lot of family history about, their family. It was just really cool, so phenomenal. And I just feel so kind of like fulfilled, and I know there's so much more for me to learn about my family. There's so much more research that I have to do. It's like literally a big jigsaw puzzle. It's like, here's 3 pieces that you found, Kim, but there's literally 100 pieces left. So I feel good with finding these gems. It just makes me, just like I say, it feels fulfilling and more connected and grounded in like my human experience. Like I know where I come from. I know who my people are. I know who I am, because when you look at these people, you see yourself, and these people are resilient. They're strong. They're beautiful. They're talented. They're smart. And you see all these things in yourself as well. When the journey first started, I did not have any expectations at all, like zero. I didn't know what I might find. I mean, I thought, you might find some names. I literally, like thinking back, I literally had no idea. Like I was mind blown when I saw my DNA test results, like mind blown, because I had no idea. I was not expecting anything. So I think that's what made the ancestry journey for me even more cooler, is that I went into it with no expectations, not knowing anything, because I didn't know anybody that had taken an ancestry DNA test. I think I had watched some YouTube videos. I had heard about people were taking the test. But I didn't know anybody personally that had taken an ancestry DNA test. And at the time that I joined Ancestry in 2011 and I was building my family tree, I believe, as far as like my extended family, I think I might have been the only person on my extended family at that time that had a tree that was a member of Ancestry. So I literally went into it blind. I didn't know what to expect. So what I love about Ancestry is a lot of people have asked me, are you taking a DNA test? Which company would you recommend? There's another popular company out there. I'm not going to say their name. and I have not taken their DNA test, but I like Ancestry. I like the layout of Ancestry. I like the feel of Ancestry. When I log onto my Ancestry.com account, I really feel like home. I don't know if it's the way it's laid out. I don't know if it's the colors, but it's very easy to navigate. It's very easy to find documents, pictures, to search. I love searching on Ancestry. I remember when I was deep into my research, I would spend hours on Ancestry just researching, viewing documents, viewing photos, viewing census documents, draft cards, death certificates, marriage certificates from the 1800s for my family. I learned so much by just viewing these documents. I learned about my family members from the past, like what jobs they did, how many of them were living in the house together, who was living in the house together, could they read, could they write, who did they marry, where did they get married, where did they die, where are they currently buried, how did they die. That's another huge thing that I think that anybody can get from learning from their past is when you're looking at all the death certificates of people in your family and you start to see similarities. Like, for instance, I came across quite a few death certificates, and I noticed there were all different types of deaths, but I noticed there were quite a few deaths that were like pulmonary embolism, lungs. So for me, that just gave me just a light bulb went off, like, take care of your lungs. you know Maybe they smoke, maybe they live near something where it had a lot of pollution, I don't know, but it just reinforced in me, take extra care of your lungs, because there were people in your past, quite a few, that passed away from lung issues. So it's just little things like that that really help you overall. What I also love about Ancestry is with the DNA, I don't know if it's like every year, every like couple years, they do update the DNA. So there have been, since I took my DNA test, there's been like, I want to say 3 or 4 updates. And so since then, I've gotten to see just kind of like an even more clear picture of, what country, what region, what tribe. And so Ancestry is always updating, their DNA analysis. And I love how now they have it where you could connect, to your other family members. Now it's 2021. I have about almost close to 10 other family members that have taken DNA tests. So it's awesome. When I go in, I can put, okay, this is my uncle, this is my first cousin. I can label them. I can star people if I think they're really important to come back to them. And over the years, through my journey, I've also communicated with a lot of people on the Ancestry message. So people can send you messages. You can send people messages, and people have reached out to me to talk about my family tree. If there's certain people asking about questions to help them fill in their family tree. And so it's just been great to meet distant relatives and to help each other on our big family journey. You meet so many people, distant relatives. So it's really been a great experience. I recommend Ancestry.com to anybody who wants to start their journey learning about who they are, because what I love about it also is you can do all of your research and build your tree, and you can also have take a DNA test too, and the DNA test unlocks a lot too, so that helps you actually continue to build and research on your tree as well. So I love the tools that they have, and it seems like they're very innovative and they're always updating. It seems like every year and a half or 2 years, there's something new that comes out with Ancestry. So when you log into your account, this is new, this is updated. And every time I log in, I see my little leaf. I'm like, oh, there's a hint. And I go to my hint and see what new discovery, has popped up on my family line. I love so many elements and different parts of Ancestry.com, but I think the most heartwarming part for me is when I find pictures. So when I find pictures of distant relatives, there was a picture of my great grandfather, and he looks just like my nephew. I was just like, OMG. So, you know, finding those pictures and just being able to kind of like look into the past, but really you're looking into the present too. Because when you start to find pictures of your family members from a long time ago, you realize that, wow, these people, I see lots of similarities to my family members today. Like that nose, those eyes, that shape of the face. Like I see cousin so and so has that, or you know, my niece has that. So it's just so cool to look at pictures and just see the connection between the past and the present. It's the coolest thing ever. It's so cool.